Imagine a world without bees. It may seem like a minor inconvenience at first, but the disappearance of bees would have catastrophic consequences for humans and the planet as a whole. Bees are crucial pollinators, playing an essential role in the life cycle of many plants. Their work impacts agriculture, food supply, and the broader ecosystems that sustain life on Earth. Without bees, we would face severe challenges to food production, biodiversity, and even economic stability. Bees are responsible for pollinating about 75% of the world's leading crops. This means that many of the fruits, vegetables, and nuts we rely on for nutrition would be in danger. Foods like apples, almonds, avocados, cucumbers, and blueberries rely heavily on bee pollination. Without bees, these crops would either disappear or their production would plummet, leading to scarcity and inflated prices. While some plants are wind-pollinated or self-pollinated, many crucial food sources would be at risk. The disappearance of bees would lead to a dramatic reduction in the availability of certain foods. The diversity of our diet would suffer as fruits and vegetables become less accessible, and we would face nutritional deficiencies. A diet low in fruits and vegetables is associated with a range of health problems, including cardiovascular disease, cancer, and obesity. Moreover, many plant-based products that are essential for a balanced diet, such as seeds and oils, would also be affected. It's not just human food production that would suffer. Bees play a vital role in pollinating plants that provide food for other species. The extinction of bees would trigger a ripple effect throughout ecosystems. As plant populations decline, herbivores that rely on these plants for sustenance would also suffer. This, in turn, would affect predators that feed on these herbivores, leading to a collapse of food chains. The loss of plant and animal diversity would result in weaker ecosystems, making them more vulnerable to diseases, pests, and climate change. While humans could attempt to replace bees with alternative pollination methods, such as hand pollination or the use of drones, these techniques are far less efficient and significantly more costly. Hand pollination requires a tremendous amount of labor and time, making it impractical on a large scale. In regions where bees are already in decline, such as parts of China, hand pollination has been attempted, but it comes at a steep economic cost. The use of technology, like drones, to replace bees is still in its infancy and would require significant investments in research and development. Even then, it is unlikely that these artificial methods could match the efficiency of natural pollination. Bees also contribute significantly to the production of honey, beeswax, and other byproducts. Honey is a valuable commodity in the food industry, and beeswax is used in cosmetics, candles, and pharmaceuticals. The disappearance of bees would lead to a loss of these products, further impacting economies and industries. For many small-scale farmers and beekeepers, the collapse of bee populations would lead to financial ruin, as their livelihoods depend on bee-related products and pollination services. Another less obvious impact of bee extinction is the effect on wildlife that depends on flowering plants. Bees pollinate many wild plants, ensuring their reproduction and survival. These plants provide food and shelter for a variety of insects, birds, and mammals. If bees were to disappear, these plants would be at risk of extinction, further threatening the biodiversity of ecosystems. This loss of biodiversity would make environments less resilient to changes and stresses, such as disease outbreaks or climate shifts. Additionally, the disappearance of bees could affect the very air we breathe. Plants, through photosynthesis, produce oxygen and absorb carbon dioxide. A decline in plant populations due to reduced pollination would result in less oxygen being produced and more carbon dioxide remaining in the atmosphere. This would exacerbate the effects of climate change, contributing to global warming and air pollution. While plants like grasses and trees would continue to absorb carbon dioxide, the loss of flowering plants would still have a significant impact on global carbon levels. The economic consequences of losing bees would be far-reaching. Agriculture, which relies heavily on pollination, is a multi-billion-dollar industry. The disappearance of bees would lead to decreased crop yields, higher food prices, and increased costs for farmers. This would create instability in food markets, making food less affordable and accessible for people, especially in developing countries where agriculture is a primary industry. The resulting food shortages could lead to social unrest, migration, and even conflict over resources. Governments would likely need to intervene to address the crisis, either through subsidies for alternative pollination methods or increased investment in agricultural technology. However, these solutions would take time to develop and implement, and they would not fully compensate for the loss of natural pollination provided by bees. The economic burden on governments, farmers, and consumers would be immense, and the long-term sustainability of agriculture without bees would be uncertain. While the disappearance of bees would have devastating effects, it is important to recognize that bee populations are already under threat. Factors such as habitat loss, pesticide use, climate change, and disease have contributed to a dramatic decline in bee numbers worldwide. Colony collapse disorder, CCD, a phenomenon where worker bees abandon their hives, has further exacerbated the problem. The decline of bees is a warning sign of the fragility of our ecosystems and the interconnectedness of all life on Earth. In response to the bee crisis, many environmental organizations and researchers are advocating for increased protection of bee habitats, stricter regulations on pesticide use, and greater public awareness about the importance of pollinators. Initiatives such as planting bee-friendly gardens, reducing pesticide usage, and supporting sustainable agriculture can help mitigate the threats facing bee populations. Governments and industries must also prioritize the conservation of bees by investing in research to understand the causes of bee decline and developing policies to protect pollinators. If we take immediate action to protect and preserve bee populations, we can prevent the worst-case scenario of bee extinction. Ensuring the survival of bees is not just about protecting one species, it is about safeguarding our food systems, ecosystems, and the future of life on Earth. Bee conservation efforts should be a global priority, as the loss of bees would have widespread, irreversible consequences. In conclusion, the disappearance of bees would pose a grave danger to humanity. The decline in pollination services would threaten food production, lead to economic instability, and harm ecosystems that rely on bees for survival. The loss of biodiversity, combined with the increased challenges of food scarcity and environmental degradation, would create a world far less habitable for humans and other species. While alternative pollination methods might offer temporary relief, they would not be sufficient to replace the essential role that bees play in maintaining the balance of nature. The importance of protecting bees cannot be overstated. Their survival is critical to our own.